Hello there again, YouTube. It is once again I, your gothic host with the most, Knox Burzum, back to bringing more blasphemous banter. Today, we watched The Devil's Rejects, Chapter 2 in Rob Zombie's blood-soaked trilogy of terror. From 2005, rated R, coming in at an hour and 47 minutes, a little bit longer than the first. The 10-second blurb. The murderous backwoods Firefly family take to the road to escape the vengeful Sheriff Lydell, who is not afraid of being as ruthless as his target. It's actually pretty accurate. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just going to take you through the highlights of this movie. I'm not taking you through the whole synopsis today because that will take me a full 10 minutes to read through just the synopsis alone. Mostly because the torture scenes are really long and involved in this movie. And I don't really think that you'll glean that much from just listening to me verbally go through the entire film's synopsis on this one. I did it for the last one, yes. Mostly because it's like a live-action graphic novel. This one is not. This one feels more like an actual horror movie. I'll explain in a moment. Cast and crew. Written by Rob Zombie, characters by Rob Zombie, directed by Rob Zombie. Don't know why it felt the need to list that twice, but you know. Sid Haig is again Captain Spaulding. Sharon Moon Zombie is again Baby. Bill Moseley is again Otis. William Forsythe is still Sheriff Lydell. Ken Foree is introduced as Charlie Altamont, who is the either full or half brother of Spaulding. Matthew McGorry reprises his role as Tiny. You got Leslie Easterbrook this time as Mother Firefly. I can't remember what happened with Kieran Black. You got Jeffrey Lewis as Roy Sullivan of Sullivan and of Banjo and Sullivan. You got Priscilla Barnes as Gloria Sullivan. You got Kate Norby as Wendy Banjo, Lou Temple as Adam Banjo. Now, normally I wouldn't name all these side characters, but they're part of roughly a 20 to 25 minute portion of the movie, so they're kind of important to mention. Anyone else? Oh, you got Danny fucking Trejo as Rondo, which is amazing. You got Dallas Page as Billy Ray Snapper. Brian Posehn as Jimmy. He's a great fucking cameo. He really is. And you got Elizabeth Daily as Candy, who is also in the movie 31. She's the kind of weird alt-right neo-Nazi girl who has a thing for the very tall guy carrying a baseball bat about 3/4 of the way through the film. Tom Towles does reprise his role as George Lydell. And then you got Michael Berryman as Cleavon. Again, it's in a very small role, but he's kind of famous for this stuff. Michael Berryman, if you ever look him up, he has a very strange skin condition. It causes his skull and facial features and also his ears to look a very specific way. He's actually famous for his look and has almost exclusively played heels throughout his film career. The man is prolific. In fact, let me just take a moment out of this thing to explain how prolific this guy is. He has played in 110 different films, almost exclusively as a villain. It's 110 roles in which he's been a villain. That's just fucking impressive, sir. In fact, on his personal IMDb page, late 1970s horror genre icon, who's best known for his creepy performance as Pluto in the uncompromising Wes Craven horror film The Hills Have Eyes. Oh, here we go. He suffers from hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. And I don't know if I perfectly pronounced that, but I'm just trying to explain why he looks the way he does. It's a rare condition, leaving him with no sweat glands, hair, fingernails, or teeth. He's incredible. Just look him up sometime. He's wonderful. So, let's go over the necessary things here. We've got a 6.7, so nearly a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. Everyone agrees this is the better of the two movies. It just is. It even has a 53 on Metascore, so yeah. Sex and nudity, severe. Violence and gore, severe. Profanity, severe. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking, moderate. I'm gonna be honest, towards the end of the movie, it's pretty severe. So if you got an issue with people doing lots of drugs in the movie, again, you know. Fighting and intense scenes, is there a word that's bigger than severe? Smear of person comes to mind from one of the scenes. God damn. It's one of my favorite deaths in the whole film. It's so fucking gross. So this film is shot much more cleanly than its predecessor is. It's acted much more sanely. Like the characters in this film come off as much more as like genuine people than they do in the first one. They're no longer caricatures. They're fully fleshed out people. Like, they're still terrible fucking people, but they're actually people in this one. Otis is no longer completely pale white skinned with stringy silver hair and pink, albino-esque eyes. He now has brown eyes, and his hair is long and unkempt, but it's real looking hair and it looks healthy this time. He also looks like he's put on about 15 or 20 pounds. He no longer looks like a walking skeleton, which I gotta be honest is nice. Val and I were discussing this last night, and I know she gives this a movie a 9 as well. He looks like he looks better as a character in this movie. Mostly, I think, because Zombie wasn't going for live action graphic novel. He was going for 70s high class slasher film. This isn't really a grindhouse film anymore. I mean, it kind of is, but it's more so just a very ultra violent movie. And it is a love letter again to those slasher films that he grew up with. But again, it's more polished, and I think that's probably for the better on this one. It just is. You'll understand once you watch it. Highlights of the movie. The acting is incredible. Sid Haig is iconic in this movie. If you go to any horror convention and you start asking people about, fried chicken, and, if they like clowns and don't they make you laugh, you'll get people quoting entire parts of this movie to you. And if you go to any horror convention ever and you start saying tutti fucking fruity, you will have people chanting that with you. It's these little things throughout the movie that are just kind of legendarily fun, and they're interesting and they're nuanced because they make the Devil's Rejects, who are not your heroes by the way through this movie, to its credit, it makes them more like real people who happen to be going on an adventure. And that's what it is. It is interesting. I want to make note of this. And I made note of this last night. And Val and I both thought it was interesting. While the Firefly Clan are the protagonists, quote, of this movie, the movie still goes out of its way on multiple occasions to remind you that, yes, they're specifically this movie's protagonists. These are still terrible goddamn people. You would still never want to root for these people. And the movie gives you reasons to not root for them kind of at every turn. And it is interesting how it's set up so that while they are the protagonists and while you want them to succeed, you're also horrified every 5 minutes by what they're willing to do. The gore effects in this movie are really second to none. Zombie talks about it in the director's commentary that he... Man, I better not just turn it off. I'll have to edit through this part. Cool. Zombie goes through in the director's commentary that he was given a slightly bigger budget and that he put a lot of money into the prosthetics and the other makeup effects and into the gore effects, and that he really wanted things to look more polished and more professional, and that he genuinely put a lot of effort into it. And I'll be completely honest, love him or hate him as an artist and or filmmaker, honestly, you can tell how much effort Zombie put into this film. And you can tell that he was really proud of it, and that everyone who's in it had not only a fantastic time making it, but that they worked their asses off to make this as believable of a story as possible. I happen to love it. I'm going to tell you right now, I give this movie a 9. In fact, I give this movie a 9.5. Fuck it. No. You know what? Fuck it. This is probably, as far as slasher movies go, this is probably my personal favorite slasher film of all time. I'm going to biasly give this fucker a 10. I know Val gives it a 9. I asked her last night. She gives us a 9. I give it a 10. We're going to split the difference at 9.5. And I want you to go see the movie. It's available on Amazon. It's available on YouTube. It's available on, I'm sure, Tubi, probably on Vudu. I'm sure it's available on HBO Max. You're going to have to pay for it wherever you go to see it, one way or the other, so just be prepared for it. Otherwise, again, it's almost 20 years old. Just buy the goddamn thing. I did. You can get a copy of the DVD for between $10 and $15, brand fucking new, and it's worth it. Let's see here. What else is there? The music. The music is absolutely superb. Rob Zombie again did all the music along with Scott Humphreys. And I believe it was produced by Andy Gould, who was actually at the time his producer at Geffen Records, which I think really makes the soundtrack shine. He was given a lot of room creatively to do kind of whatever he wanted to do with it, and I think it really shows. Again, I'm not going to read you the whole synopsis because there's really no point. It's a very long and intricately involved plot with a lot of torture scenes, and I'm going to be honest, I don't personally feel like reading through that because there's no real reason to. I'm just going to be reading you a bunch of action, and it's more fun to just see it. My personal highlights of the movie include when the Firefly family wake up and have an outright OK Corral style shootout with Sheriff Wydell and his very literal posse. I think Rob Zombie actually meant for that to be a throwback to the old Western films of like the 40s and 50s, probably because he grew up watching these things. If you ever do any digging on Rob Zombie, he grew up watching black and whites mostly, and he really enjoyed both horror films and westerns. I think his dad or his grandfather, one of the two of them, was really into them, and they got him into it as a result. And it really does show because he'll set up scenarios in his films that come from both the horror and the western genres, but they're juxtaposed together, and it works really well. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. I enjoy the scene where one of the members of Banjo and Sullivan gets covered in her husband's face and runs screaming into the sunlight after having been hooked on the back of a door for probably 8 to 10 hours and losing her fucking mind. She screams for help in the middle of the highway and gets turned into smear of human by a dump truck. And Zombie talks about this in the special features. It's one of those really hard to pull off effects that he did with nothing but practicals. I think the part where she gets hit initially, I think that part was done with CG, but that's the only part of it that was. Everything else is practical effects, and her guts and everything are just laid out on the pavement for you to see. It's this amazing, like 20-foot long smear. It's beautiful. There's like actual organs out on the pavement. It's great. You can tell that Karen Black didn't reprise her role as Mother Firefly. That gets annoying, at least for me, but that's just because I really enjoy watching Karen Black. I like the play that she has between herself and Wydell, especially up to the point where she incites Wydell to kill her. From here on out, I should just say this, spoilers, because I'm going to just go over the remaining highlights of what I love. I enjoy the part where Otis forces the men to take him out into the middle of the desert and help him dig up the guns that he buried out there. He outright tells them a couple times he's going to kill them after he gets the guns. And he does. So, because quote unquote from him, he is the devil and he's there to do the devil's work. I like the scene where Otis and Baby and Spaulding are driving along, and Baby sees that there's an ice cream parlor about 10 miles down the road and says that she could go for some ice cream, and Spaulding says so too, and he says, I could go for some tutti fucking fruity. What about you, Baby? Can you go for some tutti fucking fruity? She's like, I could go for some tutti fucking fruity. Tutti fucking fruity. No, we are not stopping. Tutti fucking fruity. We are not stopping, goddammit. Tutti fucking fruity. And it just goes on, and it's this perfect comedic moment of, we are not stopping. 2, 1, and hit it. Of course, cut to Spaulding and Baby looking up tutti fucking fruity ice cream. And she boops him on the nose with an ice cream cone. And it's just really cute, and it breaks all the tension, and you get to laugh, you get to release, and it's this really well written part of the movie, and a lot of people admit that this is probably one of the best parts of the film. It's one of the most realistically written, and it allows you to see these guys as not just characters, but as people, which is good, because from here on out, you want to like them. They end up going to hide out at the Black Pimp's house, which is the best way I can describe him. It's Spaulding's half-brother. He's this black guy who runs a brothel that's basically out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And they go there, they party, they get stoned as hell. He has been coerced by Wydell, due to Wydell allowing him to continue operating his whorehouse, into setting up Spaulding and Baby and Otis. And the long short of it is that he lets them be taken. They end up, of course, escaping. And this final scene is probably my favorite part of the whole damn movie. It's probably a lot of people's favorite part of the whole damn movie. Wherein the entirety of Leonard Skinner's Freebird is used. And I do mean the entirety. It's like a 7.5 minute long continuous scene. And it ends with the Fireflies being taken down in an absolute hail of gunfire. Which, of course, we'll see doesn't necessarily keep them down. We'll get to that. It's also kind of why it took 15 years for them to get back up, but I digress. And that is really the Devil's Rejects. Again, not going over the synopsis because it's too long and involved. Otis is incredibly intimidating. Baby is very sexy, but no longer like just a slutty manic pixie girl. She's a smart, invested. Damn it! I'm sorry. I'm searching for the words here. She's an intelligent, cunning, and well-polished killer in this thing. And she mentions a couple times even that they're mostly using mind control to do what they want to do. Throughout the movie, in fact, she mentions at least once, her gun has no bullets in it. Otis himself only has one magazine. And he continuously just intimidates people into doing what he wants them to do. It's fantastic. I think after the initial shootout at the ranch, wherein everyone just fires everything, Otis, I think, only actually has to fire his gun between 3 and 4 times throughout the whole rest of the film, all the way until the end, where of course all 3 of them are carrying a much bigger gun. And yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting how it is pulled off. I give The Devil's Rejects a 9. The makeup is solid. The acting is solid. The costumes are extremely solid. The casting, the lighting, the art direction, the mise-en-scène, everything is absolutely fantastic. Even fucking Ebert and Roper gave this movie 2 thumbs up. While they admitted that they didn't like it necessarily as, a genre movie, that they technically could not hate it. Roger Ebert, who does not like Rob Zombie's films and admitted it multiple times, he admitted outright this was a very well-made film. It's cut together well, it's edited well. I know I'm gushing, but it's a great goddamn film. Watch it, rent it, see it this Halloween, make a thing of it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace, love, and heavy fucking metal, folks. Remember, enter the void. Bye!